Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. And today I need you to stop whatever you are doing because this story is going to hit you somewhere deep. What you are about to hear is a story about a mother, a daughter, a devastating diagnosis, and a journey across the world that changed everything. It is about a woman named Anita, who was facing one of the darkest moments of her life, and her daughter Monica, who absolutely refused, to let the darkness win. When the options at home ran out, Monica found an experimental treatment in Europe. And what followed was not just a medical journey, it was an emotional reckoning, a healing of old wounds, and a complete redefinition of what it means to truly live. Buckle up because this one is a lot. So, let's go back to the beginning. Anita had received a diagnosis that no one ever wants to hear, and the natural human response to something like that? Grief, acceptance, maybe even surrender. But Monica was not built that way. She refused to accept it. She buried herself in research, speaking to specialists, reading clinical journals, and chasing every possible lead. I mean, imagine doing that. Imagine the sleepless nights, the endless tabs open on her laptop, the phone calls to doctors who probably told her there was nothing more to do. But Monica did not quit. And then, almost like a miracle wrapped in uncertainty, she found it a new experimental treatment in Europe. It wasn't guaranteed. In fact, the odds were unclear. But it was hope, and hope was something Monica refused to let go of. Now, Anita's reaction to all of this, she was hesitant. And honestly, can you blame her? This woman had lived a long, full life filled with love and loss, triumphs and heartbreaks. The idea of living everything she had ever known, even temporarily, felt enormous. The thought of packing up, flying across the world, and putting her body through an experimental process that is terrifying for anyone, let alone someone who is already sick and exhausted. But then Monica sat beside her. She took her hand, she looked her mother in the eyes and said, "This isn't just about time, it's about fighting for your future." And something shifted in Anita in that moment. She looked at her daughter, really looked at her, and saw a determination so fierce, so unconditional, that she simply could not say no. I cannot even imagine how that moment felt. A daughter fighting harder for her mother's life than the mother herself. That is love in its rawest, most powerful form. Once the decision was made, things moved fast. Passports were rushed, flights were booked, medical records were sent ahead, and suddenly this abstract idea became very, very real. The night before departure, the whole family gathered together, and that scene, oh, that scene is everything. People offering words of encouragement, others quietly wiping away tears, everyone trying to be strong for each other when inside they were all terrified. No one knew what was going to happen. No one could promise a good outcome, but they all understood that doing something was better than doing nothing. At the airport, Anita paused before boarding. She looked back at her family, every face she had known and loved, and said softly, "I will come back." There was a tremor in her voice when she said it, and that detail right there breaks me every single time because she was not just saying goodbye. She was making a promise she did not know if she could keep. And Monica, steady as ever, squeezed her hand and replied, "We both will." The flight itself was long and draining, but Monica never left Anita's side, not for a single moment. She monitored her medications, adjusted her blankets, and whispered reassurances. Wherever fear began to creep in, think about what that kind of presence means to someone who is sick and scared and far from home. It is everything, it is the difference between falling apart and holding on. When they arrived at the clinic in Europe, it was nothing like a typical hospital. It was modern yet warm, surrounded by the lush greenery that seemed to breathe life into the air itself. The staff were kind and professional, and the lead doctor walked them through the treatment in careful, honest detail. It was cutting edge, combining advanced therapies designed to target cancer cells while preserving healthy tissue. There would be side effects, fatigue, pain, and plenty of uncertainty, but there was also a real chance, a genuine fighting chance. And when the doctor finished explaining everything and all eyes turned to Anita, the room went completely silent. Then she nodded and said simply, "Let's do it." That single moment of courage from a woman who had every reason to give up, unreal. The treatment began the following morning, and Monica watched every reaction, every change, every subtle shift in Anita's condition with the eyes of someone who had poured everything into this moment. The hours stretched endlessly when it was finally over. Anita looked exhausted but not broken. "This is just the beginning," she murmured. And she was right. Days turned into weeks and a routine formed. Mornings were for treatments and consultations. Afternoons were for resting and for walking. Slow, quiet walks through the garden that Monica insisted on, believing that fresh air was medicine for the soul just as much as anything the doctors could give. And it was during those walks that something truly remarkable happened. Monica and Anita started talking, really talking. For the first time in years, they spoke about the past, about mistakes and regrets, about words that were never said and moments that slipped away. Anita admitted her fears, not just about the illness, but about leaving things unfinished. Monica opened up about the pressure she carried, the burden of always needing to be the strong one, and the guilt of not always being there. "I thought I had more time," Anita confessed one evening, her voice barely above a whisper. "We still do," Monica replied, though her eyes glistened with tears. Imagine being in that garden, watching those two women finally see each other clearly after years of distance. That right there is healing that no medicine in the world can manufacture. Back home, though, things were not so peaceful. Tensions were rising within the family, decisions needed to be made. Responsibilities had shifted, and not everyone agreed with the path Monica and Anita had chosen. Rumors were spreading, secrets were beginning to surface, and Monica was fielding calls every single day, each one bringing some new complication, some new fire to put out from thousands of miles away. But she held her ground. "We will deal with everything else later," she insisted. "Right now, this is what matters." That kind of focus, that clarity of priority, that is rare. That takes real strength. And through all of this, Anita was quietly transforming. The experience was peeling away every trivial thing that had once felt important. She began to notice the small things. The warmth of the sun on her face, the sound of laughter in the hallway, the simple grounding comfort of Monica sitting beside her. One afternoon, she turned to Monica in the garden and said slowly, "If this works, I want to do things differently." When Monica asked what she meant, Anita replied, "Like living, really living. Not just existing, not just surviving. I've wasted too much time already." And Monica reached for her hand and said, "Then we will make up for it." I don't know about you, but that exchange right there is the whole point of this story. As the final phase of treatment approached, the tension became almost unbearable. The doctors prepared a series of tests to determine whether the therapy had worked. Monica could barely sit still. Anita somehow was the calm one, almost serene. "Whatever happens," she said, "we faced it together. That's what matters." When the results finally came in and the doctor entered the room, the silence was deafening. Then he spoke. There and been a significant response to the treatment. The cancer had reduced considerably. Monica let out a breath she did not realize she had been holding, tears streaming down her face. Anita simply closed her eyes and whispered, "Thank you." The impact of this journey went far beyond the medical outcome. Yes, the treatment showed incredible results, and that alone is extraordinary. But what is equally powerful is what happened between these two women over the course of those weeks. They revealed something, they rediscovered each other, and the challenges that still waited at home, the family conflicts, the unresolved tensions, the laundering secrets, those did not disappear. But Monica and Anita returned equipped with something they had not had before, a renewed sense of purpose and an unshakable bond forged through fear, hope, and radical honesty. The consequences of this journey will ripple outward in ways that cannot yet be fully measured. Because when you go through something this profound with someone, you are never quite the same. Honestly, this story wrecked me in the best possible way. Monica is the kind of person we all hope we have in our corner. Someone who fights for you even when you have stopped fighting for yourself. And Anita, quite courage throughout, this entire journey is something that deserves to be celebrated loudly. What gets me most is not the medical win, as incredible as that is, it is the conversation in the garden, the honesty, the tears. The I thought I had more time, that is where the real healing happened. And I think that is something every single one of us needs to be reminded of. So there you have it, a journey that began in desperation and ended in something that looks a lot like grace. Monica and Anita came back changed, closure, and ready to face whatever comes next. As Anita said herself, this isn't the end of her story. And Monica agreed, it is just the beginning. I want to hear from you now. Have you ever had someone fight for you the way Monica fought for Anita? Or have you ever been the one fighting? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Because this conversation deserves to keep going. If this story moved you even a little, please hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear it today, and subscribe so you never miss a story like this one. We will see you in the next one.